Hello everyone, my name is Jazz Cole. I am the president and founder of Multilingual and Philanthropic Incorporated. So leading up to our brand new podcast series, Destination Deutschland, the Au Pair Diaries, coming out this year in March, I will be sharing with you top 10 things that I have learned as being an au pair. There are going to be a lot of differences depending on where you are in the country. So first thing I would say is dealing with children with a completely different language, like language barrier being number one, is that should be a motivation to really keep learning the language, because when I first got here, I had spent 4 years on and off learning German, but still over time getting better. So being here, I realized that the German that I learned is going to be different depending on where you are in the country that you are staying in. So do not assume that everyone in one country speaks the same dialect. It is very important to get out and start speaking to people. You don't want to just get cooped up and actually just and then just staying within your family. You want to get out and talk to people. The point of being an au pair in the first place is to get language and culture experience, like to experience that language and culture. So you really want to be making sure you're getting out and actually seeing and meeting people and getting comfortable talking to strangers, especially because when you're with your families, and particularly with my au pair family, we speak primarily very informally because we see each other every day, and an au pair is generally a temporary family member. So you want to learn to use your formal type of German as well as informal when you're meeting friends and things like that. Third thing is leading into that is actively trying to make friends, actually being able to live in a country. I remember when I first got here and I was in Celle, I had a hard time on weekends figuring out what to do because I like to plan things. So it's like get out and do things. And it's like, well, where do I go? What do I do? Facebook groups are a place to start, but I would not rely on that 100%. I know that right now we're in a pandemic, so that can alter how you interact with other people, but it's very, very important to actively find things that you're interested in and actually just go and find people that are also interested in that. That's the easiest way to make friends. The fourth thing I would say is when you are looking at like how much money you're receiving, I would say the best thing you can do is first of all, don't ever spend it all in one place. That should be financial 101. But really and truly, just looking at what do you plan to do in the year that you're there, or however long. For me, I do plan to go to France because I have friends there. I do plan to go to Italy to meet with a friend. I do plan to see a little bit more of Germany. So when you have the money that you're getting per month with pocket money, as it is called, looking at what you want to do is very, very important. And then how much does it cost to do those things? Like be looking at flights if you're wanting to fly to a particular country, looking at what is it going to cost you with public transportation to go. I would say don't spend a lot of your money on, let's say, food or things like that, because for me, the family's part of the contract is to provide that. So for them, it's more of, I don't need to go out and eat. Like I think here and there, maybe if you're out on your own, but if you're day to day, you do not need to buy anything really, because the family does provide that for you. Fifth thing is that it's very important to have an end planned in terms of how you're going to leave. I know that with au pairs is that the family does not cover the cost of transportation to initially get to them. I don't know how that works in terms of getting back to your home country, but I will just say is you want to make sure that that's planned out. Like how much money will it take you to fly back home? Because at the end of your contract, you want to make sure you're always thinking long term. At the end of your contract, you should basically be thinking about, okay, do I need to have a one-way ticket, or do I need to have a round trip to where I will be coming back in a year? But at the same time, not all airlines will have flights that come in and out during like a year in advance. I know Delta doesn't do that really, so because I have been flight watching. So also Google Flights is very good resource because you're able to follow them. They send you email updates if the prices have changed, if they're canceled. I would say, first of all, don't overpack, because most likely you will be buying things there, but you want to be spending money on things that are meaningful. That's just me as a minimalist, but I think that's the general sense. I came here with one suitcase, and it was very light. So finding things I can bring back, things that are just really like investing in things that are going to be meaningful, like to bring back. Quality is really important, because especially in Germany, they're not really like cheap people. I mean, there are certain things that, like they want, like if it's a good deal, great. But a lot of the things I've noticed here is that they invest in like really good quality things. Like, for example, there is this vacuum cleaner I really like that basically will buffer your floors like you would see it like a professional do it. It's expensive, but it's an investment in their home. When it comes to finding an au pair family, the first family is not always going to be the one family. Don't feel like, I originally thought that, this is the family I was in, and, I would have to make do with it and for the year, but really and truly you don't. I actually know that it's common for au pairs to switch families, because sometimes you're finding the right fit. And if you're finding them through online agencies, sometimes online, I would just say, is not always the 100% best way to meet people. So sometimes when you meet in person, it may not be the best fit, and then you're able to find another family that fits your needs. For example, I really love teaching. I love being around kids that want to learn. I love kids in general. And I also want to travel and see more of Germany. And so with this family that I'm in as my second one, the parents have emphasized how important it is for their children to learn English, and the parents also speak English. I can still use my own language. Really consider what age you want your children to be, because that also goes into the last thing of finding a good fit. But I would say is know what your needs are, because for me, I feel like I do really well with kids under 5, because as a teacher type of person they're so cute when they're that age, and they're really active, they're learning new things, and for me, it's just a wonderful thing. I also like being very active, because kids like to play, they like to go outside, they have a lot of different interests. There's a lot of different things they are able to do. If you're like, I really don't want to play outside, you want more independent kids, then I would say you want to go with older kids. I also noticed that with kids under 5, they're still learning life skills. Like with 4-year-old triplets, I'm still teaching them that it's important to get in the habit of cleaning up their room, and making sure you don't throw your food at the dinner table. You're teaching people proper behavior. Whereas if you don't really want to do that actively, then that might be a good option for you in terms of looking at older children. So it really depends. Really spend a lot of time with the parents, because I think with kids, they're really easy. Sometimes they don't always like you all the time, and it depends, because their moods are always inconsistent, but kids are really easy. But I would say one thing I've really learned is that dealing with the parents is very important, because asking them questions, like I have a whole entire notebook that I document everything that I've done every day. At the end of every day, I write in it, and I basically will review what I did, what was great, what didn't work. And then I also write down questions that come up, or any thoughts that come into my head, because you're helping the parents out, really, because you're helping them with their kids. So I would really say that for them, it's really important to say, okay, what behavior do you like to really enforce not doing and to do? What are the daily routines? Because you just want to make sure that, you're following their guidelines. I know for me, I really like to emphasize that it's really important to clean up after yourself. If you want to play a new game, the last game has to be picked up. And so sometimes I get a lot of pushback on that, but it's really important for me to enforce it. I know that the mom has certain things that she wants me to enforce. So that's something you really want to make sure you're building a strong relationship with the parents. If you feel like you're scared to talk to them after the kids go to bed, and it feels really uncomfortable to be with them around, talk openly and honestly, that's a problem. So that's something to really work on. learn as much as you can. Like, I mean, don't be afraid to go somewhere. Don't be afraid to to use your skills. Especially for me, like I said, I spent 4 years learning German before I came here. So for me, it's more of use what you know. You learned it. You're here. Use it. And eventually, after a certain amount of time, it can be kind of uncomfortable because like when you're in family gatherings and everyone's speaking the language and you're just kind of like trying to keep up, it is very, very mentally exhausting. Trust me on that. It's very exhausting. But I will just say that it's really important to make sure that you are active, keeping your brain active, and then also making sure that you're noting your progress. Like make sure that you're keeping track of your progress, because you could be improving and you're not even really realizing it. It's really, really important to monitor your progress, and over time it gets so much easier. Like, ask lots of questions about the culture. Don't ever be afraid to ask questions. Like, is it normal to do this? Is it normal to do that? What is typical? Asking those questions so that you can better understand the people that you're with. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you in Destination Deutschland, which will be coming out in March.